guys, and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things witchcraft, tarot and books. And I just wanted to start this video with a couple of things I noticed in the last video. So it was my first video back on YouTube after a whole year of not really posting anything, and I did notice a few things. So firstly, my fringe is in desperate need of a trim. It was all over the place in that video, so I've tried to sort it out a little bit for this one, but it still looks too long, so I'm gonna get on it. I'm gonna cut it, okay? Yes, I am gonna do it myself because I can't be bothered to go all the way to the hairdressers just for my fringe cutting, but there you go. The other thing I noticed is that I do tend to ramble in my videos as well, and there's a lot of erming. It's not something I can control, and I'm gonna say it. I'm trying to stop myself from saying it, but it's gonna happen. I'm really sorry. And the other thing is the editing of my videos. I can only apologise. I thought I had improved a little bit from all the other videos that I'd done, but it turns out that it's still pretty terrible, and again, I can just apologise for that. Hopefully I'm going to improve. I might even see if I can do a little like online editing thing just to get a little bit better, but it is what it is, okay? So let's move on to today's video then, which is a review video, and I'm back with my first YouTube review of this lovely book here. This is New Moon Magic, 13 Anti-Capitalist Tools for Resistance and Re-Enchantment, and this is by Risa Dickens and Amy Torok, okay? So today's review is going to be a little bit shorter than I used to do because I want to try and get my reviews done on time, and I am trying to do more of them and get back into the whole YouTube thing. My reviews are going to be shorter than they were because it just makes it easier for me, you know, with recording, editing, that sort of thing. And sometimes I do tend, like I said at the beginning, I tend to ramble, so I'm trying to keep them a little bit shorter, okay? But hopefully you will find this useful, and it has all of the information that you will need about this lovely book and whether it is right for you. As usual, this review comes with the little spiel about the book. So it was a gifted book. I was sent this by the publisher. So the publisher is North Atlantic Press, and they sent me a copy of this book in order to be able to review it. So there was no payment or anything other than the free copy of the book, and the publishers and the authors have no say or control over the post or the review that I am making about the book. So it's all totally my own opinion, okay? Starting with a little bit about the authors then. So Risa Dickens and Amy Torok released their first book. Actually, bear with me, here it is. See if I can just mess up my bookshelves there. So their first book, Missing Witches, Recovering the True Histories of Feminist Magic. This was released in 2021, and it is one of my absolute favourites. It was inspired by their podcast, which has got the same name, which they co-created or started together in 2018. So since then, Missing Witches, the book and the podcast has grown into include a zine and also a coven. So if you are interested in a review of this book and some generally more information about Missing Witches and this book in general, then I do have a review of that as well, which I will link to down in the description. A little bit about their new book then. So this is New Moon Magic, 13 Anti-Capitalist Tools for Resistance and Re-Enchantment. It's due to come out on the 12th of September, so not long now, and I'm just going to read you a little bit of the blurb from the back of the book, just so you get an idea as to what it's about. Harness the power of lunar magic with 13 anti-capitalist practices for the modern witch, one for each new moon of the year. In New Moon Magic, Missing Witches authors Risa Dickens and Amy Torok offer witchy practices, historical research, interviews, and their own raw personal stories to change your life and reshape the world without falling prey to the commercialization that's co-opted so much of the 21st century practice. Witchcraft is praxis, how we do what we believe and how we make those beliefs manifest. Dickens and Torok reclaim the tools of witchcraft as ways and means of magic, tools imbued with a power that disrupts commodification and resists capitalism. The authors introduce 13 new moon practices throughout the astrological signs, each paired with witches, contemporary and historical, who embody a specific art of the craft. Readers will learn about potions with Ceridwen and St Hildegard von Bingen, divination with Lozin and Harriet Tubman, the garden with Mayumi Oda, ritual and ceremony with Genesis P. Orridge and Dion Fortune, the circle with Audre Lorde. An offering that honours centuries of survival, empowerment and resistance, New Moon Magic is fresh, fierce and unapologetically feminist, an intersectional and inclusive guide and a rallying cry to resist, disrupt and remake the world in nourishment, abundance and power. Okay, that was a little bit of a mouthful, but moving on then. Straight on to my review then. So this book had actually the best vibes. Now you might think, well, how can a book have a vibe? But this one, it does. It just totally did. As I was reading it all the way through, I felt like I was part of something. It was as though there was a group connection between the authors, the people that were featured in the book, between myself and all of the other readers that are reading the book or will read the book in the future. And as a solitary practitioner, it was just really lovely to have that feeling, sort of a community spirit, even though I was reading the book alone. The content then, as with Missing Witches, this book is thoroughly researched. I said it about the previous book, and I just love the academic nature of it. Everything is referenced, the bibliography is huge, and it just makes it so much easier if you want to go away, do some further reading, or basically just discover more about the people that you're reading about in this book. So Amy and Risa have said on their website for Missing Witches that this was an excuse to research ideas and people, and you can definitely tell that this is a passion project for them. I'm just so glad that they're sharing this with us, because it is all the things that I didn't know I needed to know about people I didn't know I needed to know about, if that makes sense. As well as the academic style, New Moon Magic also follows a very similar format to Missing Witches, in that the author of each chapter will introduce the topic or the concept for that chapter, usually with a personal anecdote or a story, and then when they're delving a little bit deeper into that, they'll introduce ideas from contemporary witches maybe that are part of their circle or their coven, and then they'll explore it with influential people from the past, also sharing their words of wisdom. Where Missing Witches centered around themes from the Wheel of the Year, New Moon Magic actually focuses on the new moon and its placement in the zodiac throughout the year and the energies that relate to that. The main theme of the book then is to resist this capitalist mentality and society that we live in. It provides us with free or easily accessible tools that we can use in our craft to create magic. It felt like the perfect antidote to my current feelings about my own craft. So everything has started to feel a little bit flat, and I'm not really doing any sort of practical magic myself at the moment, mainly because I feel like things had to be done a certain way, or I had to use a specific tool or ingredient, and I was getting caught up in the way that things looked. I'd lost the spontaneity and the enjoyment that comes with performing the magic. The book served as a reminder that I am not doing my craft for anyone else, it is literally just for me, and that I don't need this stuff in order to achieve my outcome, and things don't have to be perfectly curated in order for them to be effective. And in fact, a more simplistic craft just seems so appealing to me. And it just makes me a little bit more excited about that practical aspect of my craft. I just wanted to share a couple of my favourite chapters then. So they were chapter 2, which was New Moon in Taurus, the body, and chapter 8, New Moon in Scorpio, the circle. So I did find that my interest in the chapters or the topics of the chapters was very hit and miss. For example, I didn't really feel like I connected with the themes and ideas in chapter 1, but as I mentioned, chapter 2, which was called The Body and the New Moon in Taurus, I really enjoyed that chapter and engaged with it. I think this is going to be true for most readers. There are going to be those ideas in chapters that you really engage with, and then there might be some in others that maybe don't appeal to you as much. So saying that, I did skim a couple of the chapters, just got an overall feel for them, mainly just because I didn't feel like at that point or at that moment I was interested in that. At the beginning of the book they do mention that you don't have to read it in the order that it was written, so obviously you might want to read the book starting from the new moon that is closest to you at that point and work through it that way. Just as a suggestion from myself, having read the book, I would personally just have a look through the chapters, the titles, and see which one appeals to you the most, which you think you might have an interest in, whether it be because of the chapter title or perhaps the zodiac sign that's featured has some sort of relevance to you. I do feel like the ideas or the messages and themes that are put forward in each chapter can be applied at any point in your practice. It doesn't have to be specific to that new moon. Although following the book as intended is a really lovely idea that I do intend to do, especially with those chapters that I did tend to skim through a little bit more. As I mentioned at the beginning, I am a solitary witch, and other than the online community, my witchy circle is non-existent. And this book really helped because it shared so many personal and honest stories, not just from the authors, not just from Risa and Amy, but also the people that are in their circle. And it was just so interesting and enlightening, and it felt important to hear these stories from these witches and spiritual people. It features contemporary people, people through history, it's feminist, and it's wholly inclusive. What more do you want? Okay, that's it for today's review, guys. I told you it was going to be a little bit of a shorter one, but hopefully you still found it interesting and got lots of information about this lovely book. Just a reminder that it is out on the 12th of September, so it is available to pre-order, or if you are obviously watching this video after the 12th of September, then you can go out and buy it from any good bookshop. If you do want to support the channel, then you can use my affiliate link for bookshop.org, which I will put down in the description. If you do have any questions about the book, then I will endeavour to answer them. Just pop them in the comments, or let me know if you've already grabbed a copy, if you've read it, what do you think about it, etc. All that good stuff. Okay guys, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I will see you in the next one.